Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Rishta Didro Me Bawa Soto Kayo Me Bawa Sopo Kayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsam Sarva Karma Sutsame Yam Shriyayam Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Vajra Bhava Maha Samaya Sattva Ahum Pe Eho Shude Svoha Yamo Shude Svoha Ram Shude Svoha Lam Ho Shude Svoha Bam Ho Shude Svoha Eyam Ram Lam Bam Shude Svoha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Svoha Om Ye Dharma Hetum Prabhava Teshan Tathagato Avadata Teshan Niroda Vadi Maha Shramaye Svoha Onchönam Tamche Gyule Chung Tegyu Deshin Shekbesum Gyula Gopa Kanyimba Gechon Chembe Tekesum Gechon Chembe Jingilo Gechon Chembo Modrupzol Gechon Chembo Trashishu Sangye Chedan Sage Chanam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupa Rasho Sangye Chedan Sage Chanam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupa Rasho Sangye Chedan Soge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupa Rasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So yesterday we saw an important part, which was recognizing our own ignorance. And we'll continue today with the part which is from ignorance, what's the result? So the root of samsara as we saw yesterday, is actually our own ignorance. But from ignorance, what happens? What's the result of such ignorance? Okay, and the question yesterday, we were in question number 4. Actually, the last part of question number 4 connects to question number 5. So I will read the last part of the question number 4 and then go through question number 5. Okay. Shenya rangre nam korwa dir chikne chikdu gyute korwe kortsula nyongwa lhawa makena ni korwa la shenlo dan keshe ngechon nalma onsa mechin. Tedar korwa kyamtsula nyongwa lhawa kebani Tendrel chungni ki kortsu gombala ra lebe na. Tei kortsu dang. Tendrel chungni ki changdang kori ngechen dang. Tenam gyunre su drotsu, tenam gyu drebu drotsul. Tei kongne kibu sumgi tri wongsu nam kanyin. So the question goes through. Furthermore, page number 16, furthermore, there will be no way for us to reverse our attachment to samsara, to have a real sadness about it, and to have a real wish to emerge definitively from it, without generating a vivid experience of how we transmigrate from one rebirth to another rebirth in the samsara. That vivid experience of how we wander in samsara occurs in dependence upon the meditation of how we wander in samsara due to the 12 links. Then we continue to 5, page 17. Therefore, what is the mode of wandering due to the 12 links of interdependence? Their number being 12. Why the number is 12? Of their order being definitive. The order which is one after the other, how is the actual order of them? The way in which they are causes and results, and the guiding commentary on the 3 levels of within them. So these are the questions that Lama Tsongkhapa put, asking, okay, out of ignorance, we wander in samsara. But how does it actually happen? How is actually happening that we are wandering in samsara? What's the main cause of it? The main cause in the root is ignorance, but out of ignorance comes karmic formations. From karmic formation comes consciousness. And like this we go on through the whole 12 links of interdependence. So we need to understand that we don't want to be in samsara. So we need to understand what's the root cause of samsara. It's ignorance, our own ignorance, not the concept, but our own ignorance. So, but how is that working? Because out of ignorance, what is happening? How are we actually wandering in samsara? Okay. So we're going to go through the 12 links. The answer is very clear. And to explain a little bit better the 12 links, we need around 2 days. So we are not going to go into very many details about it, but I think we can have quite a clear idea about the whole thing. Okay? Okay. So we go to the answer, and then through the answer we will comment on it and try to make it clear, even though in a short way we try to condense a little bit the meaning of it. So it says, Tindre yanla chungyegi kortso pakchu ludrubgi lamson tokta ume pa korwe kinkor galmeyi kinkor tabo pensungi Gyaltsen di korwar gyur sunshin ngaso mebar kor change yanla chungye su yeyo tele mangmi go nyungna midu kyendan tal korin penchen pangbadan drupche drube koneni penche yanla kangshe na mari duche namshe ki pangbe yanla mingsudan keche drugdan retso ro ngombar drube yanla ni reklen ribe Reklen riba o drubayi, yanla keba gashi ni pakchu ludrub shengane tangbo geba gunyomong niba chuba leyinte lakma duni donga yin. She sum gyunde drotsu ni, nyomo sumle le ni dans, tele donga dun jongshin. Dun le laryang, rangdregi, nyomon sumjon zagengi, korlo kortsu, korlo kordra tesitu. Sombo tagle ni chung te, ni le dun chung, dun le kyang, sumjon sibe korlo te, ni yangda yangdu kor, she son te yang endroi, yang la chung ni jukdo gi, semba kibu chungo kor, dendro yang la chung ni gi. Dokchuk semba dring shecha, deta rangnyam la pakne, magyur semchen tamche kyang tendre chung ni gone ni, korwe gyatso kyambala, chamda ningje chanchu sem, kene gyase chobala, lobe kibu chimbola. So I will read the answer, then after we'll comment through it, okay? The way in which the ordinary beings wander in samsara, in terms of the 12 links, is as follows, is as the following taught by the Supreme Arya Nagarjuna. This is the citation of the text of Nagarjuna. The three components are without beginning, middle, and end. The three components is karma, mental defilements, karma, and suffering result. Okay? So the three components, which is mental defilements, karma, action, and result of suffering, are without beginning, middle, and end. The circle of samsara is like a circle of a lighted piece of wood being spun in the sense that those three components cause each other to turn constantly. Thus, they wander without any rest. One of the examples is if we take points of light and we turn them very quickly, we cannot see. We see one only, see where is the beginning, where is the end of each other. Okay? Similar to that, we have ignorance, defilements, anger, attachment, and so on. Out of our mental defilements, we act karma. Out of the karma, the cause, suffering. To suffering, we react again with mental defilements, that we act again. So this is the cycle that we live within. Okay? No, the suffering is something else. Suffering of suffering is the sensation of suffering. This is the fact that it's endless. Defilements, and then you act. The result is suffering. From suffering, what type of reaction? Mental defilements. With mental defilements, you act. This brings suffering. So like this, it's endless. Okay? But what we will understand better now, what we mean by defilements, what we mean by suffering. As a branch of the dependent relation, it is definitive as 12. So the first question here was, okay, there are different questions in between. The mode of wandering due to them. The mode of wandering in samsara due to the 12 links of interdependence is defilements makes karma. Karma makes suffering. Suffering makes defilements. So this is the way of wandering. Okay? The second question is, why is there number 12? Okay? And the answer is an answer that we have in some philosophical texts, which is somehow funny, which it says, it's 12 because you don't need 13 and 11 are not enough. Okay? That's why it's 12, basically. Okay? Then, if we go into details about that, why we don't need 13, why 11 is not enough, then we can have a long discussion about that. Okay? But as it says here, as a branch of the dependent relation, it is definitive 12. It is divided into that number because there is no need for more, and this unit of 12 is also free from the fault of not including branches if there were fewer. Which means, why? Because you don't need 13 and 11 is not enough. So that's why it's 12 basically, okay? It looks something like just an excuse maybe. Why to say it's 12? You know, it's quite a good question. When someone asks us, oh, why is this number? You say, because we don't need more and less is not enough. But
The truth is that if we go more into details here, there are many texts explaining exactly why 11 is not enough, what is missing, and why 13 is, we don't need 13, and so on. Why 12 is enough, but we don't go into these details right now. The question within it is, they are definitive. So, they are determined by way of those which throw and those thrown, those which accomplish and those accomplished. If asked, then what are the throwing branches and the thrown branches? With the three throwing branches of ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness, the four following branches are thrown, form 6 entrances, contact, and feeling. The three are craving, grasping, and becoming, from which comes the 2 accomplished branches, birth, aging, and death. Okay. I will just read the next part and then we go to the explanation. The Supreme Arya Nagarjuna said, the first 8, and because then the question is, afterward the next question is, the way in which they are causes and effect. And Nagarjuna says, the Supreme Arya Nagarjuna says, the first 9 are delusions. The second and the 10th are karma. The remaining 7 are suffering. Regarding the way that some of the branches are causes and some are results, Nagarjuna said, from the 3 delusions arise the 2 karmas. From there, the 2 karmas, arise the 7 sufferings. From the 7 sufferings arise again their own result, the 3 delusions. As long as it is like the spun wheel of a potter, there arise the 2 karmas from the 3 delusions. Okay? From the 2, 7 will come, and again from the 7 arise the 3. This very wheel of samsara will thus keep turning again. So, let's try to understand a little bit better all of this. Okay? We have the 12 links of interdependence. So what are the 12 links? When I explained the 12 links, I did a nice drawing, graphics about it, that we don't have it right now here. So we will need to try to understand it looking at page 18. Okay? So if you like to number them, it could help also, because their order is, first one, we have ignorance, karmic formation. Then we have consciousness. After that we have name and form, the 6 senses doors, which means our 6 senses. Then after we have contact and feeling or sensation. Then after that we have craving, grasping or attachment, becoming. Then after that we have, and the last one is aging and death. Okay? So let's understand what they are. Here we have actually all of them are in the right order. 18 A, B, C, D, and 19 A, B, page number, okay? The third part. So ignorance is what we already saw yesterday. Ignorance is our inability to see interdependence, to understand reality as it is. Okay? Out of ignorance comes karmic formation. Karmic formation basically means action. Okay? Out of ignorance we act with mind, with speech, with body. Okay? Whenever we do an action, we call duche gile in Tibetan. The karmic formation is said because within this is like, it's the action that comes together with all the negative emotions, okay, that is born from ignorance. So we make our action of body, speech, and mind. So after ignorance, we have karmic formation. We have action, basically. In the moment that we do an action, comes. So from ignorance, naturally comes action. From action, From action, naturally comes consciousness, which means we have here, when we see consciousness, we have consciousness at two moments. At the moment of action and at the moment of result. So let's imagine the following. Ignorance is like someone planting a seed. Okay? It's like having the seed is ignorance. The actual karmic formation is like we go and we throw the seed. The consciousness is the field where the seed is planted. So whenever we do an action, that action is planted in our own mental continuum. So in the 12 links, we have the consciousness at two moments. In the moment where we plant the seed, and in the moment where we harvest the fruits. So if I plant a seed, and after I harvest the fruits, it's the same land, in two different moments. Okay? So similar to that, we have ignorance, karmic formation, and then consciousness. Okay? So these are the first three. So out of ignorance, we act. As we act, we plant a seed of that action. Karmic seed within our mental. Okay? So these are the first three. At a certain point, that seed will ripen. As it ripens, it becomes name and form. And form means, name means mind, form means body. So basically it's a psychophysical reality. So in the moment that I am, let's say I get sick, in the moment that the sickness arises, is the result of an action that I have done in the past, I have a psychophysical state of that sickness. In the moment that I am rebirthed within this body, I have a name and a form, a mind and a body which is directly connected with this birth. Okay? So the result, what is the way how the result manifests? Through name and form, through a psychophysical existence. From we have the six senses, the six doors, the six entrances which manifest. So it's like when we are born, first we have the body in the moment of conception, and then slowly, this is name and form, and then slowly our body manifests. And then as our body develops, six senses, our five senses, plus the sense of the mind. Okay? As our six senses develop and we are born, inevitably we will have contact. Contact is the union of three things, which is, yesterday I talked about contact making the example of the red flowers. So contact is the union of object of perception, sensory object, sensorial object, sensorial power, which means eye power, nose, tongue, skin, and so on, our actual five sense powers, and the five sense consciousness. Okay? So for example, there is form, there is the eye sense power, and then there is the eye sense consciousness. Get together, we have. Okay? So in the moment that there is the five senses, naturally there will be contact. Out of contact, spontaneously there will be sensation, feeling. Okay? So in the moment there is contact, there is sensation. Sensation can be pleasurable, can be of suffering, unpleasurable, or it can be neutral. Okay? So we have here feeling. Feeling and sensation is the same thing basically in this context. So what we mean is like there is feeling of pleasure, the feeling of unpleasure, and the feeling of neutral feeling. Okay? Which is a result in every contact we will have feeling. When we have feeling, what is the right reaction we have? If the feeling is pleasurable, what do we feel? Attraction. If the feeling is unpleasurable, what do we feel? Aversion. And this is called craving. The next craving. Craving is the deep attachment that we have, the deep force that we all have within ourselves to not to suffer. Inside of every one of us, we have this very deep force. This craving is craving for what? It's craving for happiness. It's craving to be free from suffering. Okay? It's the same thing. It's just two sides of the same thing. The wish not to be happy and the wish not to suffer. And it's basically the same, two sides of the same thing. So, whenever there is feeling, what do we have inevitably? Craving. Whenever we have of suffering, do we want it to end? Yes. Whenever we have a sensation of pleasure, do we want the pleasure to continue? Yes. So this is craving. Okay? Out of craving comes grasping. Grasping or attachment, it means suffering to end. So I will grasp at something in order for that suffering to end. I want pleasure to continue. So I would grasp at something in order for that pleasure to continue. I would choose something in order for that pleasure to continue. So here will come again anger, jealousy, envy, miserliness, all the other attitudes that we may have. Because behind all these mental defilements that I just said, like anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, and so on, behind of them there is the craving to be free from suffering. Craving is behind it. Why we get angry, basically? Because we don't want to suffer. Okay? But does it help? No. So, we have just first to understand, craving is this strong desire not to suffer and to be happy, which it manifests through grasping. We grasp at something. Okay? So I direct this desire at something. Okay? And then from that, what we have the becoming. Becoming is when out of this attachment, out of the grasping, we once again conditions for some karma that we did in the past. So I create a new action, and I create at the same time a condition. Through this condition, what happened? Some causes that I have done in the past, some seed that I have planted, will ripen. In the moment that it starts ripening, it is called becoming. It's like when the result comes out. It's like, for example, if I come and I throw something from a house, and if I come from the ceiling here and I throw something, okay? Don't need to be in the ceiling. I have here the flower, okay? The result is when the flower touches the table. But in the moment I go, it's going down. I just need to wait for it to fall down. Becoming is actually when the karma manifests. Then it's too late to change it again. Okay? So that's becoming. From becoming, when I let it, what inevitably will happen? Birth. The result will ripen. When I have birth, what happens just after? Aging, and finally, death. So that's the process that we go, okay? So, once again, this is the normal order of the 12 links. Then we will see now, we will change the order a little bit. Because we need to understand that the 12 links of interdependence order, but it is not linear, the way of seeing it. The 12 links do not function linearly. There is a reason why we see them in this order, but the 12 links are not functioning in a linear way. Okay? So first let's understand the 12 links here. So we have ignorance. Out of ignorance, what happens? Karmic formation. Out of karmic formation, inevitably what we have? Consciousness. Out of consciousness, the karma manifests, comes name and form, psychophysical existence. Out of name and form comes the six doors. Out of the six senses comes contact. Out of contact comes sensation, feeling. Out of feeling comes craving. Out of craving comes grasping. Out of grasping, becoming, birth. From birth, aging and death. Okay? So these are the 12 links. Okay? In order not to death, what we need to eliminate? Once there is birth, inevitably there will be aging and death. Okay, when actually aging starts? at the second instant after conception. Okay? He is born is already 9 months old. Okay? So aging starts at the second instant after conception. So what's the only way to avoid, and finally death? Avoiding birth. How need to avoid becoming. How to avoid becoming? We need to avoid grasping. We need to avoid craving. To avoid craving, we need to avoid sensation. To avoid sensation, we need to avoid contact. We need to the six senses. To eliminate the six senses, we need to eliminate name and form. To eliminate name and form, we need to eliminate consciousness, which means the karma in the consciousness. To eliminate consciousness, we need to eliminate karmic formations. To eliminate karmic formations, we need to eliminate ignorance, the root of all suffering. Okay? They come naturally to the other. The only one that we can really go and cut is the actual ignorance. Okay? So this is briefly the 12 links. Okay? So, we don't need to imagine to see the 12 links as something linear. They have a linear relation, which we have just ignorance, karma, consciousness, name and form, six, contact, sensation, craving, attachment or grasping, becoming, birth, aging and death. There is a linear relation between them. But the way how they function is not linear. So to understand, keep this idea that the 12 are linear and they have a perfect order. We need to think more of them like many circles overlapping one each. So now that you have got this little drawing, okay, you can actually, we will see we have here different shapes and different colors. So based on that, we can understand a little bit better, okay? So let's start by the colors, okay? So as we can see, we have ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness. That it says, the three throwing branches are ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness, which are the yellow ones. Okay. Then we have 4 branches that are thrown, are here orange, name and form, six senses, contact, sensation. Then we have the light blue, which are actually, which is called here the accomplishing branches, and then which is grasping and becoming, and then we have the 2 blue ones, which is the accomplished branches, which means birth, aging, and death. Okay? So let's see how it's actually working. The yellow one are the causes. So ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness in the moment of the cause is when we make an action. Okay? How many actions we make every day? How many thoughts we have every day? How many words we say? How many choices we make? How many expressions we have? Okay? Every time we have a thought, every time we make a choice, every time we say a word, okay, we make an action of body, speech, or mind. And these actions are all guided by us. Every time we are doing karmic formation. We are planting a seed, okay, in our consciousness. So, during the day, how many seeds we plant? Many. Many. We are good gardeners. We plant many seeds every day. So, as we are here now talking and listening, we are planting seeds. Okay? Some seeds are good, some seeds are of sweet, some seeds are spicy. Okay? So, in the moment of the seed, we don't know so much, but some seeds will bring a very nice sweet fruit, and other seeds will bring a very spicy fruit. Okay? Bitter fruit. So, ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness is when we are doing the actual cause. Okay? Simultaneously with ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness, simultaneously with that, we have grasping, and becoming. They are always working at the same time. So we need to imagine both of them helping each other. Okay? So, in the moment that there is ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness, there will be a craving, attachment, and becoming. Okay? What does that mean? Ignorance is mental defilement. Okay? Ignorance, when we act, we have normally craving. Do we ever act without craving? Do we ever act without the wish to be free from suffering or the wish to have happiness deep within ourselves? So with ignorance we have craving and we have also attachment. Okay, so these three goes together. Ignorance, craving, and attachment, grasping. In the moment that we do a karma, that we do an action, at the same time we are creating a cause for action, and we are creating a condition to manifest a cause that we have created in the past, which is becoming. Becoming and karmic formations are both karma. Okay? So becoming is the karma in the moment of the result. Karmic formations is the karma in the moment of the cause. So every moment when I do an action, I am planting a seed for the future, and I am harvesting a fruit from the past. Moment. So every action that we do, we are creating a cause for the future, we are creating an action that a cause in the past. Okay? So when I have craving and grasping, or craving and attachment, here we have number 8 and 9, what we are doing at that moment is that we are creating the conditions for a cause of the past to manifest. But at the same time we are having number 1, ignorance, and we are creating causes for the future. So every action, at the same time we create causes for the future and conditions for the past to manifest in the present. Okay? That we do the action, making karmic formations, and we are also experiencing becoming, which is the result of an action of the past. So we have the consciousness at the same time of the cause and the consciousness of result. At the same time, we are planting a seed for the future and we are harvesting a fruit from the past. Okay? It's quite clear? Okay. So after that, here again, birth, aging and death, and the 4th, name and form, 6 senses, contact and sensation, they all also go together. That is becoming. What we will have after that? Birth. From birth, automatically we will have name and form, 6 senses, contact and sensation. And this, they remain. These 4, name and form, 6 senses, contact and sensation, they remain during the whole period between birth and death. Okay? In the moment that I am born, I have a cycle of existence. I will have the senses, the contact, the sensation, and this will remain on during the whole period between birth up to death. Okay? So when we take number 11 and 12, in between 11 and 12, we have 4, 5, 6, and 7. They fit between there. They are simultaneously. Okay? So, what happens here? The ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness are simultaneous with craving, attachment, and becoming. So, what does that mean? At every moment, I am planting seeds for the future, and I am creating conditions to harvest seeds of the past. Okay? So, let's say at a certain moment I do an action, and this becomes a condition for a seed of the past to manifest, and it manifests in the form of name and form of a sickness. Give birth to a sickness. Okay? The sickness will have its own senses, will have its own sensation, will have its own contact. From the contact sensation, okay? And this will last up to the day that the sickness does. Luckily, in the moment that the sickness starts, also the process of sickness also starts. So sooner or later, the sickness will die. The moment will end. Okay? Everything that begins ends. Okay? So, if we look from the lifetime, every experience that we have has a beginning and later has an end. The beginning is birth, then it goes through aging, and finally death. While after it's born, during the period of that experience, which can be a friendship, it can be a moment that we are experiencing, there's so many things. We have a psychophysical reality of that experience, we have the six senses, we have contact, and we have sensation. But experience, out of sensation, what we have? Craving and attachment. Together with craving and attachment, what is coming? Ignorance. And from that, what is coming? Karmic formation and becoming. So, while we are experiencing the result of the past, we are constantly creating conditions for seeds of the past to manifest, and we are constantly planting new seeds for the future. But we plant more seeds than we harvest. Normally, the experience that we have, while we are experiencing one result, we are planting many others. Okay? Is this clear? Okay? When we look to it, can we understand this fact? So imagine that one circle is overlapping the other. Because while I am creating a condition for a cause of the past to manifest, I am creating also new causes for the future. So, let's say that we have circle A and circle B. Okay? In the moment that I am in craving, attachment, and becoming, okay, this is actually, I am creating the condition B. I am creating the condition for the causes that I have made in circle A to... No, sorry. Again. I'm trying to find a way to make it more simple. Looks like it becomes more complicated. We have different circles, okay? In the moment I am creating the conditions, I am making the conditions for a cause that I've made in the past to manifest. So for one circle to complete. Okay? The circle completes because for the circle to complete, we need to experience all the 12 links. Okay? But what happens is that when I am making causes, which means ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness, I am creating the causes of one circle, but at the same time, I am making the conditions for another circle to manifest its results. Okay? So constantly, I am in more than one circle. And another thing is, while I am in birth, name and form, six senses, contact, and sensation, I am again and again, during sensation, I am reacting with craving, attachment, and which means ignorance and karmic formation. I am constantly making new karma as I move along the path. Okay? For example, during one lifetime, we are experiencing one result. But how many karma we create? How many actions we do? So many. Okay? In the for death, we will experience sensation. Out of sensation, what will come? Craving. Out of craving, attachment. And that's the condition that we create in the moment of death. According to the condition, according to the way how we die internally, we will create the conditions for becoming of the bardo. Depending on becoming, we will have the next birth. So rebirth is not a result of positive and negative actions we have done, like if you put on a scale. Oh, yes, it's true, I did many negative things, but I've done also so many good things, so finally everything will be fine. Not true. If I create the wrong conditions in the moment of death, which seed I would access? One negative one. It's like I can plant many sweet seeds. But if I have one bitter seed in the middle of hundreds of sweet, will the bitter become sweet? No. So if in the moment of death I access the bitter one, I will have a bad rebirth. So, the point is that karma is not like, okay, let's sum in one part, we make a total sum of the other. Let's say, okay, I did many good things and I did many bad things, but finally I have more good things, so I am saved. It's not like that. Every positive action and every negative action has its own potential of result. It's just a matter of creating the conditions for them to manifest or not. They're all lying there. It's like many seeds in the same land. It's just a matter of which one will ripen. And the important thing to understand is that every action that we do, which is done by ignorance, craving, and attachment, every action that we do, we are creating new for the future, and we are creating conditions for the causes of the past to manifest. This is the important thing for us to understand here. Okay? So, what happens? As we go through the 12, as we follow this drawing that I have made, we have the yellow part, which is the cause, the light blue, which is the dark blue, and the orange, which are results. Okay? Basically, as we just said before, we need to understand clearly that everything we do is a cause for a future and is a condition that will ripen a cause that we have made in the past. So constantly we are creating causes and we are experiencing results out of conditions that we make. Yes. Okay. Every action for a result that we will experience in the future is a seed that we are planting in our lives. And at the same time, a condition that ripens a seed that we have planted in the past. So, at every moment we are experiencing results of the past and we are creating causes for the future. And everything that we do is a cause for the future and is a condition for the past to manifest in the present. Okay? Here, if we look, there's 12 links, they have different shapes I've made. There. The, how do you call this in English? Rhombus? Diamond shape. And, okay? So, the square is mental defilements. The diamond shape is karma. And the circle is suffering, result. Okay? So, which are the mental defilements? Craving and or attachment. Okay? So, ignorance, craving, and attachment or grasping, I think is better than attachment. So, ignorance, craving, and grasping, they always go together. Whenever there is ignorance, together with ignorance, there will be, as a result, there will be craving, and also there will be grasping. Something as the solution for our suffering, as the cause for our happiness. Okay? So, they go together. From ignorance, craving, and what we do, we act. So we have karmic formations. And at the same time, we create the same action is also a seed for the future, which is karmic formation, and is also a condition to manifest from the past, which is becoming. So becoming and karmic formations are karma. Karmic formation is the karma as the seed that we plant for the future. And becoming is a karma as in the moment that is ripening in the present. Okay? Consciousness exists at both moments. At the moment of the cause, because I am in the same land where I plant the seed and where I harvest the fruits. Okay? So consciousness is present at both moments. At the moment of cause and at the moment of result. So, first thing that is important for us to understand is that these 6 parts, they go together. Okay? It's of different cycles. Okay? For example, if we take, for instance, a rebirth, like the one that we have right now. Okay? Right now, what are we experiencing in relation to the 12th link? We have already experienced birth. Okay? Birth was conception. Since the moment of conception, we started what? Aging and death. Okay, we have not reached the end of aging and death. We are just aging for the moment. And we are dying somehow also. We are getting near to death. During this period, what we have also, as a result, we have name and form. We have actually the result. We have name and form. We have the six senses. And most of all, we have name and form, six senses, consciousness, and sensation. Okay? These are the results within birth, aging, and death. So at this moment, we have a psychophysical existence of this body, of this life. We have senses of this life, we have contact, and we have sensation that comes out. So all of this is within this lifetime. Okay? During this life, which means that when we will die, we will complete the cycle, because in our last life, in the last part, when we died in our previous life, we create, out of craving, grasping, and becoming, we created the conditions for this life to manifest. Okay? And in one life, which could be the last or any other life, we create the causes of ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness. So basically, in one moment, I create the cause. In another moment, I experience the result. So after the condition, right away, okay? Whenever there is craving, attachment, as a result, it will come right away birth, name and form, six senses, contact, sensation, and aging and death. This will come right away. Okay? In the moment that we have ignorance, karmic formation, and consciousness, we can wait a long time before we have the result of that. It's like planting a seed until the seeds do not ripen. It can take a long time before that. Basically, what happens is that every moment we are creating new causes, creating new conditions. When we create new causes, they will stay there until the moment where the conditions, they will happen right away. Okay? So, in relation to the process of death, at every moment of this life, we are creating new causes. We are acting with ignorance, craving, grasping, and out of that we are creating new seeds. And we are at the same time seeds that we have done in the past. Okay? In relation specifically to the process of rebirth, what happens is that during the lifetime we plant many seeds, but we only harvest one in the moment of death. Okay. Luckily, during our lifetime, we harvest many other seeds also, but they are not manifesting as a new rebirth. They are manifesting as a new birth, metaphorically speaking, in the sense of new experiences that we have. We can have experiences of sicknesses, we can have friendships, we can have different situations that we live. All of this, they have their birth, their age and death, their own name and form, psychophysical reality, and so on. But the point is that during life, we actually plant much more seeds than the ones that we harvest. And at the same time, in the moment of death, we will harvest one seed, not two. Sum of all the actions that we did, positive or negative. It's not like, okay, I am a good person, I have done many positive things, also some negative, but I've done so many positive things, and I'm also a friend of the Lama, and the Lama is friend of the Buddha, so things will be fine. It's not like that, I'm sorry. It's like that, but it's not like that. If in the moment of my death, I create a bitter, what type of seed I will access? A bitter seed. Type of bitter result, which means a bitter rebirth. All the sweet seeds that I have planted, are they lost? No. I will continue to bring them with me. Similarly, If in the moment of death I create a sweet condition, and so I experience the result of a sweet seed that I have planted, and I have a sweet rebirth, are the bitter seeds lost? No, they are still there, just waiting condition, water and sun, for them to manifest, because the earth is already there, which is our mental continuum, our consciousness. Okay? So our consciousness is like the earth. Craving and attachment is like the water that we pour on it for the seeds to manifest. Karmic formations and becoming is the actual seed. Karmic formation in the moment the seed is planted, becoming in the seeds manifest their results. In the seeds, at the moment that the seeds, how do you call that? Sprouts? Sprouts. Birth, aging and death, name and consciousness, six senses, contact and sensation is the actual that comes out once the sprout develops into the actual tree. Okay? So, we are constantly making new causes and at the same time experiencing results and creating conditions. So the 12 links, they are together, they are overlapping each other. We may look at the 12 links and we may say, oh, what can I do then? Because when we have sensation, do we have any choice of not having craving? Are we able to have a sensation and not to crave for happiness or to be free from? Once we have craving, are we able not to have grasping? No. Once we have grasping, becoming is natural. From becoming, what happened? Birth. From birth, what happens? Name and form, six senses, contact, sensation. From sensation, what happened again? Craving. And at the same time, what happened? Karmic formation and consciousness. So it's endless. All the time. So someone may say, oh, but is there a way out, Actually, yes. I believe there are 2 points in which we can work here. First one is the main one, which is ignorance. Yesterday we said that ignorance is the root of all suffering. And here we can see it clear. Why? To eliminate aging and death, we need to eliminate birth. In order to eliminate birth, we need to eliminate becoming. In order to eliminate becoming, we need to eliminate attachment. Attachment comes from craving. Craving comes from sensation. Sensation comes from contact. Contact comes from the senses. Senses come from name and form, which comes from consciousness, which comes from karmic formation, which comes from ignorance. No more ignorance, there will be no more craving, there will be no more grasping. Karmic formation, there will be no more becoming. And as a result, there will be no more birth, no more name and form, no more senses, no more contact, no more sensation, no more aging and death. Okay? Someone may ask me, oh, but does that mean that we will vanish when we eliminate ignorance? No. There will be no more involuntary birth, involuntary sensation, and so on. A Buddha is reborn, but with total freedom. Once there is no more ignorance, yes, we are going to be reborn. Yes, we are going to have a psychophysical existence, but with total freedom of choosing when, what, how, where. Okay? Now we are not free to to choose where and how to be reborn. Technically speaking, we would be free. It's like every one of you, please come here and choose something. Okay? Choose a book, choose whatever, choose an object. We will all choose, most probably, different objects, right? But we all have the freedom to choose whatever we want. But we are not free from our own ignorance, from our own attachment, from our own conditions. Similarly, it can be strange, but it's actually how it is. We are all free and we have all chosen where to be reborn. Even when beings are being reborn in the hell realm, in a place in the middle of war, they choose to be reborn there. They are free to choose where to be reborn, but they are not free because they are not free from their own. We are not free, not they. We are not free from what? From our own ignorance, and consequently from our attachment, from our aversion. So in the moment that ignorance is eliminated, there is no more craving, no more grasping, no more attachment, no more hatred, no more jealousy, pride, mindfulness. There is no more karmic formation, no more becoming. And consequently, no more involuntary birth and results. So that's the only way. In the meantime, where can we make samsara to be a little bit easier? How can we make this wheel to turn a little bit slower? In eliminating ignorance, we will cut the roots, but in the meantime, we can work in attachment. Basically, that's the main one where we can actually work. The other ones we cannot do much. Grasping, which I think is a better word than attachment actually, grasping is where we direct our mind in order to be happy and in order not to suffer. For example, I can have a sensation of suffering and I can choose consciously not to react violently. This is grasping. So I create a positive interdependence instead of a negative one. If I create a positive actions and positive conditions, I will have positive causes and positive results. And where can I make the change? In grasping. In choosing what I want to do, where I direct my mind, my emotions in order to be happy and in order not to suffer. We need to stop reacting with violence on suffering. If we stop reacting in a violent way in the moment that we have a sensation of suffering, then we start already to put less strength and we start to create a positive link of positive karma and positive result. It's like we act positively with love, with compassion, with joy. Out of that we create positive seeds and we harvest positive results. And then gradually we create a positive link of interdependence through which we will have a good rebirth and so on. The problem is that when we enter into a negative vortex of actions, we experience negative results. To the negative results, we react with even more negative actions. And like this, we go into an endless circle of suffering. Okay? So, is it clear where we can act here? In the grasping and in the ignorance. Okay? So I went a little bit briefly through the 12 links. Did we have more or less an idea? Okay. Now let's just see once again the text as it says. So we can go to the part which says, the Supreme Arya Nagarjuna said, the first, ignorance, the eighth, craving, and the ninth, attachment, grasping, are delusions, are mental defilements. The second, karmic formations, and the 10th, becoming, are karma. The remaining 7, birth, aging and death, consciousness, name and form, 6 senses, gates, contact and sensation, are suffering. Regarding the way that some of the branches are causes and some are results, he, Nagarjuna, said, from the 3 delusions, ignorance, craving, and grasping, arise the 2 karmas, karmic formation and becoming. From the 2 karmas, arise the 7 sufferings. From karmic formations and becoming arise consciousness, name and form, 6 senses, contact, sensation, birth, age, and death. So from the 2 karmas arise the 7 sufferings. From the 7 sufferings arise again their own result, the 3 delusions. Okay? How do we react to the suffering? Again, with ignorance, craving, and grasping. As long as it is like the spun wheel of a potter, there arise the 2 karmas from 3 delusions. From the 2, 7 will come, and again, from the 7 arise the 3. This very wheel of samsara will thus keep turning again and again. What's the only way to make it stop turning? Cut ignorance. There is no other way. We can become a nice person, we can be nice and develop patience, we can have love towards others. All of this is important and wonderful. But the only way how to really stop it is eliminating ignorance. There is no other way around. Okay? So now, we just go to the last part, quickly. And the question that Lama Tsongkhapa made was, and which is the way the guiding commentary on the 3 levels of beings comes within them, within the 12 links. Basically, it's this. We have 3 levels of beings, which we call the small being, the middle being, and the great being. The small scope and the great scope. Which means 3 levels of spiritual practice. Okay? The first level of spiritual practice is when we do not care only for this life, but we also care for the next. And so we don't want to have a negative rebirth. Okay? So what we do, we avoid negative actions, we accomplish positive actions because we don't want to have a negative rebirth. That's the first, that's called the small scope. So by reflecting and meditating upon the 12 links of interdependence in a negative way, which means negative actions, negative results, negative conditions, we say, I don't want to be reborn in the lower realms. Because if I'm reborn in a negative rebirth, I will enter in a vortex of negative action. So I don't want that. And in order for me not to have that, I need to avoid negative actions right now. I need to avoid my mental defilements and my negative actions right now. Why? Because I don't want to enter into this negative vortex. According to the medium scope, which is the wish to get completely out of samsara, we do that by reflecting and meditating upon the 12 links of interdependence in a positive way. Which means even though I have a positive rebirth and I create a positive link of interdependence, still I will be in samsara. And it's just a matter of conditions that maybe a negative seed will ripen, and then once again I will enter into a negative vortex. So by reflecting upon the positive cycle of interdependence of the 12 links, of higher rebirths, we wish deeply to be free from samsara as a whole, from the whole cycle. It's not a matter of only being free from the cycle of a negative cycle, even a positive cycle of involuntary rebirth, which is only positive because we are holding the positive interdependence, but at any moment it can become negative again. And by meditating on the positive and the negative cycle of interdependence of the 12 links, we see the cycle of suffering. And by understanding the cycle of samsara, we look at other sentient beings and we see they are suffering better. And by doing that, we wish to reach a lot of the cycle of samsara. That's how, by meditating on the 12 links, we develop bodhicitta. Okay? So the text says, regarding the way that some of the branches are causes and some are Nagarjuna, he said, this we already read, is after that. Page 19. Furthermore, there are the 12 branches of bad destiny in the lower realms, which is a negative cycle of interdependence. To think to them in forward process and reverse comes formation. From karmic formation comes consciousness, that's the forward. And the reverse process is when we go, okay, in order not to be aging and death, there shouldn't be rebirth, and so on, okay? We go on the other way around. So, if there is ignorance, and together with ignorance there is karmic formation of a negative action, that will bring negative consciousness, negative results. It will all be negative. In order for there not to be a negative, there should not be a negative birth. In order there not to be a negative birth, there shouldn't be a negative becoming, and like this we go on. Okay? Furthermore, there are the 12 branches of bad destiny in lower realms. To think of them in forward process and reverse process is called on the lesser being, because by that we wish not to be reborn in the lower realms, and for that we need to avoid our own negative actions. To think of the 12 branches of happy destiny upper realms in reverse process and forward process is called the meditation on the intermediate being, which means understanding that Even though we may have a good rebirth, not enough, we are still in the cycle of samsara. So to develop the strong wish to get completely out of samsara. So basing oneself on one's own experience, one is also all mother sentient beings. So by reflecting about our own of the 12 links of interdependence of samsara, we see that other beings are also in the same cycle, about how they wander in samsaric ocean by the way of the 12 links of interdependence. Then, generating love, compassion, and the mind of enlightenment, and training oneself in the practice of the Victor Sun is called that of the greater being. So, why I want to reach enlightenment? Because I want to help every sentient being to get out of samsara. Where is samsara? Is in the cycle of the 12 links of interdependence. By understanding the 12 links of myself, I can see it on others, and based on that I develop compassion that I wish from suffering. And because of that, I wish to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all. So that's how the 12 links of interdependence, meditating on them, help us to develop the wish to get out of negative rebirth, the wish to get out of samsara, and finally, bodhicitta. Okay? So with this we conclude briefly the question and the answer number 5, okay, about the 12 links of interdependence. All of these are things that we need to reflect, we need to our own experience, not leave it just as a knowledge. Okay?
Jetsu Lama kutse raptenchi namkar tinle chochur gepa dang Losang tempe dreme omgi Drove Michel tatu ne gyurchi Nimo delet sende Nime kuyan delek shing Ninsen taktu delek pe Koncho sumgi jingi lob Koncho sumgi ngodrup tsol Koncho sumgi trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.